Hi there, and welcome to my channel. The channel I continue to call, at least for now, Work in Progress, Always Evolving. And also, we are a new channel. I mention this each time. Um, I'm hoping that at some point, because I think this is a good idea, we'll find out, that we can begin to have conversations with one another. Conversations where we share our particular journey, our particular stories, our maybe successes, our struggles, and we're sharing them with one another. And I strongly believe that that's how we help one another, by hearing each other's stories. I also believe that that's where we're going to find out we're much more alike than not alike. So if this idea connects with you at all, to have a conversation with me, just look below the video, because there you'll find the link to connect with me and reach out, and let's see where we can go from there. So today I really want to kind of talk about how strange life can seem. And when we really start to explore, which those of us that would be listening to this channel or other channels like it are definitely explorers. We are, I don't know what you want to call us, seekers of what is this whole thing about. We seem to arrive on the scene with amnesia. We arrive on the scene not having a clue of who we are. And that's where I say maybe life is a game of hide and seek, trying to discover who we really are, or the truth of who we are. And we start to have these beliefs. We begin through childhood. We inherit beliefs. There's conditioning that happens, and there's programming that happens, that all form this, I'm going to call this imagined character, right? This imagined character, sometimes called the ego. But whatever it is, we begin to, through the beliefs and conditioning, that's what builds this false character or imagined character, based on all of that, the beliefs that we've inherited, beliefs that we picked up along the way, programming that's happened, that whole arena. And that begins to feel like that's who we are, right? And that's how we begin to go through life as infants, and then toddlers, and then teens, and then young adults, and then adults. And what happens during this time, for some of us, is we begin to feel like something's not quite right, or we are in a lot of struggle with things. We seem to be, how do I want to say, not in the right place at the right time. We wonder what our life's about. Maybe we feel lost, like, what's my purpose here? This kind of desire to find out what's really going on can happen in a lot of different ways, each of us being rather unique in the way it might happen for us. And for some people, they don't question this kind of thing. They just kind of do life as, the imaginary character. And nothing's wrong with that. But I'm really speaking to those of us that have been on this path, been seeking. We don't really have good words to explain it, but it's something inside of us that says something's not right here, or I need to better understand what this whole thing called life is about, or I need to understand myself better. And that's where we begin to do an inner or an inward search, or inward, about discovering what we're about. Why do we do certain things? Where did this belief come from? We start to question our identity, really, is what we're doing. That's really what's going on. We start to question that we've now formed this, imaginary character who's responding to the different situations that life puts forth, and is oftentimes in struggle, trying to fix things, trying to make things better, really pushing hard to get a better handle on things, is always in a situation that is not feeling that peaceful, comfortable, contented place that we have within us, that we know, that we sense, but kind of on a really subtle level of how we'd like to be in this life. So if we start just seeing or experiencing these beliefs that we have, and then that begins to build this character, and depending on who we are, depending on our individual patterns, we either start to question what is going on here, and we begin to see or learn, how can I find out more about who I am? And then we begin, if we're on a spiritual path, we'll listen to different teachers and gurus, and maybe we go to workshops, retreats. Maybe we travel to India to find our particular guru to help us. In other words, we know something doesn't feel right, or we're searching for something, but we don't even really know what it is we're searching for. And, the term for this would be called awakening, to awaken out of this illusion, this dream that we're in, and wake up to our true identity. It's really what it's coming down to, rather than believing we're this imagined self, doing all this stuff out there, or struggling with stuff, or reacting to things. And it is a process, and it's a process, I believe, that really doesn't exactly end at a life at some point, that it kind of continues on some level. At least that's what I hear from a lot of the teachers or the speakers, the people that speak about this. And so it is a game. It feels like a game. And I call it like a game of hide and seek, where our true identity is hidden, and then it's kind of like we go on a scavenger hunt to discover who we really are. And once that's discovered, then we have a complete different experience of life. So when we wake up or awakened or awoken out of this dream, nothing has changed. We don't change, and life hasn't changed. It's just we realize or become aware through awareness of our true identity. Life just happens. And when we're not in our true identity, when we're in that thinking that we're that imagined character, then we begin to put our beliefs and our stories onto whatever appears to be happening in life. And then we start to live from that, to, make decisions from that idea of a belief of something. Life's just flowing. That's what it does. Life is just a happening. Doesn't have any duality to it. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is. It's what is. It just is right now. So this awakening, some of us, I think, believe when you awaken, then you change, you shift, and you have a whole different life changes. It's a different experience. It is a different experience from what I understand, but nothing's changed, nothing other than becoming aware of our true identity. This is not a walk in the park, from my point of view. It is not something that just easily happens, although for some people it appears to easily happen. For those of us that have been seekers and really having the intention to wake out of this dream, become awake out of this dream, it can really vary in this journey of this lifetime. Now, there is the idea that we come into this life, we incarnate into a particular body, and we come in with a complete script, let's call it, like a you know, a movie script. And like as a screenwriter, we determine the script before we actually come in. And some say it's really, we're often coming here to just learn something, to experience something, maybe to teach something. I don't know. But that's what takes us as spirit into this body mind. I call it a vehicle, you know. We get into this vehicle to have the experience of what it's like to be in form. But the truth is, from again, how I understand it, or I have to say it makes sense to me, is we are spirit having a human experience. So as spirit, the idea is we would just be, you know, witnessing, observing the experience of being human, the experience of form, without having all the trauma and drama or adding stories or making it something that it isn't. We'd be clear on our own true self. We'd be clear that we're just spirit experiencing this stuff. We're not it. We're not the emotions. We're not the traumas. We're not the dramas. We're not any of it. We're just spirit observing, witnessing. You're like spectator. We want to have this experience, but we get lost into the idea that our identity is that of this imagined character, this ego, you know, whatever the name you want to call it. It's separate, because it's not real. It's made up. It's an imaginary friend. I mean, you can call it 100 different things. And it's really hard. It's really a challenge when we're in this particular vehicle body and having these experiences, but thinking that we're somebody that we're not. And the word isn't even thinking. We're assuming. We're acting as if we're this imagined character. We don't recognize or realize the truth of who we are. So that seems to be the game. And then during this game, for some of us, we are really trying, wanting, working toward, efforting, all the things that we want to, that we do to try to really become the true self or function from the truth of who we are. And through this process, as we're trying to become awake, that's where all of these beliefs and conditioning and even cultural things, generations have all had an input into this imagined character, to give this imagined character all of these beliefs and conditioning to live from, to believe that's who we are. And it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? I mean, really. If you just can stand back, even though we're living that part out, I watch myself living out as if I'm this imagined character. I can get it on some level. The problem is we get it intellectually. We can understand that this is a concept that makes sense on some level if we've been around for a while. Yet, it's so hard to completely step out of that thinking we're the imagined character and really come or live from the truth of who we are. However, lots of people do that, and it appears that now, during this time frame of this 11 evolutionary process, that more and more people are waking up out of the dream. So the dream is just like, we understand dreams. We have nighttime dreams. It's not different. at all, in a way. You know, we were having a dream rather than having just an experience. Just the experience wouldn't have all the attachments to it, the story attachment, the conditioning attachment, the cultural attachment, all that would be gone. And that's what we're trying to do, is really release all that is untrue. All of the beliefs, everything that is part of what is absolutely not true, what thinks it's separate from. All of that needs to be exposed in order to be released. And that's where some of these practices come in, or techniques, I don't know what to call them, that we do to try to help ourselves move closer to the idea of the truth of who we are. And I believe these techniques are important in the process, because it's very, almost impossible, but I know it happens, to jump from one place to the other in just one leap. So for me, what I have found for all these years, and really it's been kind of like stepping stones of discovering where I'm at a certain time in my life, and kind of moving up these stepping stones, or moving up a ladder to get more clarification of, you know, this dream I'm in, to start to wake out of the dream. And sometimes it seems like more awake than others. It flip-flops. And the closer we get, this is again what I believe, and I hear from so many people, and even when I say I believe, that's crazy, because guess what? A belief is not the truth of who we are. But again, it's part of the process. That the closer we get to actually waking up out of the dream to the truth of who we are, and starting to live from that place, well, the closer we get to that realization, the more fear sets in. There's some kind of setup in this system where this, let's just call it the ego or the imagined self, that we believe we are. There's a tremendous amount of fear as we get closer to letting go of that belief, of that identity, as if that identity is going to be eliminated, you know, murdered, killed. But that doesn't exist. But that's somehow the system responds that way. You know, I don't know why it was all set up like this. That's impossible probably for any of us to completely understand on a human level. We can't. But that's the way it's set up. So we go through these phases and these experiences and these emotions that we get caught up in as we're trying to become awake, you know. And they can seem terrifying. It's how my experience has been, where it can just absolutely seem terrifying when at certain times. It's just a fear. I can't even attach the fear to anything. It's just like waking up in some mornings and just this, in my gut, my solar plexus is just churning from fear. And if you ask me, what are you fearful about? I don't know. I just feel a tremendous amount of fear. And maybe some of you can identify with that. Maybe some of you have had that experience. I think we're all unique in the way that we, well, enter into life, and then the way that we are playing the game of the hide and seek and discovering, you know, the truth of who we are. So I think one is, I know that the harder I try to wake up, the worse it is. It pulls me deeper into the story. It doesn't work. So it's like accepting where I'm at without the push or the striving to want to wake up, but allowing the process to happen, because that's the only way it'll happen. It doesn't happen through efforting. It doesn't happen through desire. It just doesn't. It happens actually, when I hear a lot of people talk, is it happens once they really are able to relax into what is this moment in time. So in other words, as we do some techniques or practices where maybe we catch ourselves thinking of the future or planning something, or the thoughts are all about the future. Well, the future doesn't exist, not in the true self, not in the truth of what's going on. So we can catch ourselves and we can just release the need to be futuring. Or the same thing with the past. There are practices of just being present where we can just sit somewhere outside in nature. A lot of people find to be one of their better places, but the bottom line is just stop and connect with the being, the actual being of who we are. And that can only be done through quieting the mind or quieting the body. It can't be done through actions other than taking your body outside to nature and sitting on a bench. That's the action. And then just sit and watch. Sit and watch what happens in the mind. For me, I know I can sometimes feel a lot of bored energy, like I don't want to just sit and do this. Or I can feel like my mind's going in 1,000 different directions about what I need to do, what's going to happen, the idea of what if, and I can't quiet it. But I still just sit. And this just takes practice. One of the ways that I do find that I can kind of allow the truth of who I am become available to me in a way is through automatic writing, where I'm, writing out what's going on, and then I'm getting answers. It feels like from my guides. They're not separate, but it's probably my higher self or my, spiritual self or whatever we want to call it. But it gives hope, it gives answers sometimes, it gives understanding, to know that nothing's wrong with us. Nothing is wrong with us, and it never has been, and it never will be. And so for me, through automatic writing, that supports that idea. For other people, it's through meditation, that they can go deep into meditation, and that just helps quiet the mind to kind of quiet the body. Now, some say you're not necessarily going to wake out of the dream through meditation. In fact, the imagined self or the ego self actually enjoys meditation and enjoys being relaxed and having the quietness. But it's still very much alive, well and alive. And so it takes more than one kind of, what do we want to call it, practice, oftentimes to, again, allow whatever that process is to, for us to become completely realize the truth of who we are. There's no one way fits all. There's no a certain road to this. That's it. That's where I think it's like hide and seek. The game is done pretty well, and I don't know. Maybe for some of us, we're set up not to be able to awaken during this dream. I don't know. Most people that teach this and are awakened, they are quite certain that all of us can be awake. It's not a big deal, that nothing's changed. Everything's happening right here. And it's just us adding that imagined self with all of the stories and all of the beliefs and yada yada. So I think for most of us, or many of us, or some of us, you can hit a time, I've hit it, and kind of feel like I'm there right now, of being a little bit stuck, of feeling like, okay, I get this, and yet nothing's happening. I'm still getting caught in my thoughts. I can see reacting or responding to life from certain beliefs, and I'm just not making progress. But it's not about progress. We have to remember there is no time. We just made it up here. So it's not like we can say, well, I've been doing this for 50 years and I should be awakened by now. That's just made up. But you can hit this time. It's kind of like, I don't know how to call it. It's just bland. It's, little bit of feeling lost, or a little bit even of feeling like, what am I doing? Maybe none of this is, none of this is real. What am I doing? What's happening here? Why am I not beginning to at least somewhat wake up out of this dream? Or is this ever going to happen? Or why don't I just give up? This isn't going to happen. These are the thoughts that can go through the mind during this kind of quiet, not happening, flat, feels kind of flat, that's what I would say. Could feel boring. It just feels like, well, there's no movement. There's just no movement. I'm just where I'm at. And I don't see movement, and it's just sitting with that. So I know for me, a big part of this process is to be where I'm at, just be with what is, without the story, without the frustration. Yet you can't, don't push it away. Frustration can come up, and just let it come, let it be there, and it moves on. Everything is energy, so nothing stays forever. Everything is energy, and that means things are always shifting, but maybe it's so subtle that we just can't experience it right now. Or maybe we just aren't ready to experience it. I think for me, what it is I just stay with it. I just stay with it. I listen to different teachers on this, or speakers about this. It's on my mind 24/7. So that's definitely true. But I can get easily distracted as well. I can be in the grocery store and I'm right back into my forgetting who I am, and operating from that imagined self. I think the other day I said I can get caught up with the weather not being what I want it to be. All kinds of what really seem like simplistic things, where, they say when you wake up it is simplistic. That's it. It's simple. It's just all that's going on is right here, right now. There's no fireworks happening. No, huge, oh my God, look at this type thing happening. Nothing. It's just right here, right now. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't know where you guys are at. Maybe some of you resonate with this kind of flat time, this kind of, I don't feel there's movement yet, hanging in there. So I'd love to hear some comments. If some of you have already gotten past this flat time, or you're there right now, share something about that. I'd love to hear something about it. And that way we could actually maybe get a conversation going in the comment section, if nothing else. And that could be interesting. I think the more that we can share our stuff, the more likely we can get a little help in moving past maybe this place that we're at, or wherever you're at right now. It doesn't have to be this flat place. It could be another type of experience. So I wanted to share that, and also ask you, if you like the video, to please click like. Also subscribe to my channel. That would be great. Even in the comments, or if you want to use my contact information, let me know any ideas you have, or comments, or thoughts, maybe, and what might be interesting to talk about, or other ways of communicating. I'm very, very open to hearing and seeing how we can all kind of gather together and share our stuff, really. Let's see, what else? So, if this idea of having a conversation with me, we would do it on Zoom, about your particular life journey or something you can share that could possibly help others, or even just a conversation about maybe a challenge that you're going through. Then don't forget, my contact information is right below the video. Just click on that and we'll see where we can go from there. So in the meantime, I always say, be kind to yourself, because that is something, I have to say, that is something I continually am working on. And the more I'm working on this idea of having compassion for myself, of giving myself credit for things I've already done or do or who I am. And it's not about achieving. It isn't in that way. It's heartfelt is what happens. And there's times I've more in the recent times listened to some podcasts or videos where it struck a chord for me to help me really see and have compassion for myself by pointing out, something would get pointed out about something that, yes, I know I've done that, or it's really hard to put in words. It clicks. Let's just put it that way. There's something that will be said in a podcast or a video that strikes a chord in me, really strikes my heart, and I actually can experience the compassion for myself. I come to tears when I'm hearing this and sobbing sometimes because I realize how I've not had compassion for myself, how tough I've been on me. And so when that can kind of get broken, and again, it tends to me in the more recent times to happen through something I'm listening to, it strikes something, that is an incredible healing, I believe, a really incredible healing. But I've been working on this for a long time, so I kind of feel, and the word isn't working on it, I've really been well-intended, let's say, to really grasp what it is to be kind to oneself. And when I can do that, for me, I can see how much more I can be accepting and more kind, have more empathy for others. So there's a lot of reward, I'm going to call it that, in doing this. There really is. It's huge. You can't force it. It doesn't happen when I'm trying to force it or make it happen. It does not. It's random, It's like, boom, I listen to something in some way. I get that trigger, let's call it, or whatever it is. It strikes something in me to where I can actually feel or actually experience, it's not feel, experience this idea of being kind to ourselves, to actually have compassion. So I highly recommend, if you want to, try this. I think you would really also find that it brings a lot of caring to yourself, self-care, So, until the next video, take care. You can see I'm getting this little clicker ready to click this off. As you've watched any of my other videos, for some reason, this little clicker thing, it's not the clicker, it's the person that's clicking, right? When I tend to click this off, I get this thing like it doesn't click off the first time in my head, so I guess I manifest it. I don't know. It's kind of silly. But anyway, till next time, take care.